Hello and welcome to the channel. During World War II, the German Fallschirmjäger, the elite parachute corps of the German armed forces, had a very iconic and distinctive uniform that set it apart from other branches of service. Aside from the M38 steel helmet, the Knochensack, nor jump smock, is probably what comes to mind when we think of signature pieces of their uniform. The Knochensack, or bone sack in English, was the nickname for the German jump smock designed to be worn over a paratrooper's equipment made for the Fallschirmjäger during World War II. They were made from a variety of camouflage patterns and from tough cotton material. There were several models in use in 1936 when the German paratroopers were still part of the German army. The early models had no pockets. Over time, pockets were added. First 1, 2, and then 4 pockets were added, with some having a flare pistol holster at the rear. This video is intended to cover the main development milestones of this piece of clothing. The early versions of the jump smock, introduced in 1936, were akin to overalls that ended at the mid-knee, whose sole intention was to keep equipment secure and prevent entanglement inside the plane or the parachute lines when jumping. The original idea of the smock was to be discarded immediately upon landing, revealing all the equipment worn by the soldier underneath. The first pattern used by the Fallschirmjäger was manufactured in plain green. The cotton fabric was a mix of green fibres with a few orange fibres intermixed. It had a front zipper opening but didn't open fully and had to be stepped into much like coveralls. The use of a zip on military uniforms was still something of a novelty at this time. Following this, the M40, the second pattern Fallschirmjäger jump smock, was produced in a base colour of green flecked cloth. The smock was designed to be worn with ease, with hidden zippers and closed off with 4 buttons at the top. The smock was often modified by paratroopers and fitted with additional pockets that could hold a lot of supplies and ammunition to augment the carrying capacity of vital supplies behind enemy lines. Some units, such as Storm Group Granite, which executed the assault on Fort Eben Immau, were already experimenting by adding pockets to their smock early on. It was around 1940 that this custom was adopted officially, and smocks were produced at the factory with 2 chest pockets and 2 waist pockets. By this time, the basic equipment was also being worn on the outside of the smock, as it was no longer an item to be discarded. With the introduction of splinter B fabric in late 1940, some factories still made use of the remaining green flecked fabric stock of the standard green M40 smock as a base fabric, on top of which green and brown shapes and rain were printed. This was a limited run that created the very rare and sparse splitter tarn B overprint M40 smock. A footnote to mention, probably the rarest of all Fallschirmjäger smocks, the second pattern step-in jump smock in khaki tan lightweight cotton, which was a unique manufactured item produced in 1941 for use in the North African theatre. In 1942, the final and most major change to the smocks included an additional strap to house the flare pistol and shovel. To note, there are no photos to my knowledge of these being used exist, and testing this practice at reenactment events, the items feel loosely held and subconsciously always feel like they're about to fall out. The smock pattern was also changed to open like a jacket and no longer feature the short legs of the step-in model. For jump operations, the bottom of the jacket could be buttoned up to form the legs and restrict the intake of wind. In the final months of the war, German production was stretched to its limits, and the high-quality kit previously fielded started to be cut down to save on cost, time, and what can be completed with unskilled labourers. All smocks were hastily sewn with single-needle machines throughout. Every possible shortcut was taken. This included machine bar tacks instead of hand-sewn reinforcing. The base material was also slowly used up, and were no longer made of high-quality, windproof cotton twill. A great example of an M42 smock can be found in the Gettysburg Museum of History that has an example captured from a Fallschirmjäger of Fallschirmjäger Regiment 6 by Dick Winters during World War II, which has additional pockets and flare gun loops added to the upper triceps of this piece. There was a further late war camouflage jump smock that was issued to Fallschirmjäger in Sumpftarnmuster or swamp pattern camouflage, also known as tan and water. These jump smocks were used in the late war period and were the last pattern introduced into service. Early Sumpftarn 43 smocks had bolder, more defined shapes, with later Sumpftarn 44 patterns were softer with blurred edges. Many late war photos from the Ardennes offensive and onwards show POWs wearing this late war iteration smock. Another interesting branch of the M42s were the smocks that were created for SS paratroopers. The 500th SS Parachute Battalion, Aufdeutschte SS Fallschirmjäger Bataillon 500, was the airborne unit of the Waffen-SS. The idea to form a parachute unit within the Waffen-SS allegedly came directly from Reichsfuhrer SS Heinrich Himmler himself. For context, Adolf Hitler supposedly got the idea in September of 1943 after Operation Eiche, Oak, which was launched on September the 12th and included an airborne raid on Gran Sasso. The operation was planned by Kurt Student and commanded by Otto Skorzeny. During the raid, a group of German parachutists freed deposed Italian dictator Benito Mussolini. The rarest of all Fallschirmjäger smocks during World War II were fielded in camouflage patterns that were unique to the SS, whether it be oak leaf type, palm tree or dot 44 patterns. The smock had an SS eagle stitched to the upper right hand breast and complete with the trademarks of the M42, the flare pistol holder on the reverse side and the entrenching tool loop. Great reference images for these rare smocks can be found in Fallschirmjäger Volume 1, History and Development of German Paratrooper Specialist Clothing, Helmets and Equipment. Volume 1 covers helmets and jump smocks from their inception right through to the changes during wartime and through to late war models, which has been a great source of research for this video. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this video informative. Please drop this video a like, as these research videos do take a while to create, and please subscribe as to not miss future videos posted to the channel. I have a lot of ideas for videos to come in the new year, and I'd again like to thank everyone for their engagement and their positive feedback, as it's really motivating to make more informative videos. Any suggestion for future videos or what you'd like to see on the channel, please leave in the comments below. Thank you.